tools and technology hasn't really been optimized to defend networks against DDoS types of attacks. Like a firewall is not really an adequate type of defense. Although a lot of people think, they have a firewall on their network, they're secure. But I constantly get that type of feedback from customers. They deploy a couple of technology solutions and they think their network is secure. But I think part of the way they stay ahead of this is also, it's not just enough to put tools and technology at it. You also have to develop process. So you have to have people who are trained and understand what they're looking at, and they can they monitor the network. They look for anomalous type of behavior, and in the event that something happens, they actually they know what's going on in the network. They can recognize it as a DDoS attack and respond.
Yeah, that preparation I think is the single biggest key element in all of this for network security, and that is I think misunderestimated in this case. It's very poorly sort of appreciated. Obviously, I think the network admins or the site admins are going to know best what looks normal and what doesn't look normal. And then the trick is now to diagnose it. What are the symptoms of a denial of service attack? What are the hallmarks of it? What would I go and look for to measure and see, yep, this is what's going on, and this is, as opposed to, say, a crashed router or something else that sort of is going wrong in the network. This is the type of attack that's going on. Now to understand what you can do about it. What resources do you have at your disposal to make the traffic stop and go away, or and how would you use that? Or more importantly, who would you go call for help at an upstream? And what resources do they have?
Do you think that most customers tend to think they can resolve these types of attacks in-house, or they're not looking outside the organization to a service provider or their upstream internet provider in terms of establishing a policy or an incident response plan for a DDoS type of attack?
So you mentioned earlier, for example, that a lot of people say we have a firewall, we're safe, right? Mm-hmm. Firewall is really the wrong device for this kind of attack. Granted, it's designed to enforce network policy, but the type of traffic that comes in these sorts of attacks really is different than what a firewall is designed to handle. Either it's too much traffic and the firewall will literally fall over and choke everybody else out, or the traffic will fly right through because the firewall will say, sure, I'm supposed to pass that kind of traffic, right? It's the wrong kind of device there. So people are not necessarily thinking about what sorts of technologies you need to put in place to defend against these, and then, as you mentioned, the processes.
A lot of cases they're pretty overt about it. You read about it on the front page news, and they'll say the attack is going to happen on this and such a date, all right? And so that adds to the heightened awareness, and I guess in those cases, unlike a cyber criminal who doesn't want to be discovered because they have other intentions once they get into your network, these guys are trying to cause embarrassment, or they're trying to heighten the profile of their cause, whatever it is they're trying to get behind.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you have a date that's at least a couple days in advance, right? For very major events, we've seen them, oftentimes a week or two in advance, and some, because they really want to focus everyone's attention and want to draw as many people in as possible. So if you're lucky, you have that kind of advance warning. And then what you can do is you can prepare quickly, but you can prepare, right? That's sort of the key thing to, that I keep driving home to people is preparation is key here, right? Knowing sort of, let's measure site performance. Let's figure out that the site is accessible, our resources are accessible. And there's things you can do that are out there and available that can help you determine before customers call you, which might be a few days into it, to complain. Or, your boss says, hey, we're seeing some problems, you're not doing your job very well. You can go ahead and you can measure that performance, you can get ahead of it and understand, okay, there's something wrong, and then understanding how to diagnose the problem, and then what you can do about it. What can you, what's available to you, who would you call, what would you ask for, what could you reasonably expect, all those kinds of questions. Those are, like I said, those are the biggest things you can do, right? It's not about, anything shiny that you bought or whatever and deployed, it's just about preparation. You have a lot of things sort of available to you, figure out what they are.